This episode of Out of Spec Reviews is brought to you by Magna. More on that later. Hello and welcome back to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to a very cold and windy day here in northern Colorado, and welcome to the wonderful 2022 Mark 8 Golf R manual. Now, we have shredded this car on canyon roads, and I have some announcements to make about this car coming soon. But before we talk about any of that, we need to see how efficient it is on the highway, cruising at 70 miles an hour in our typical MPG loop. So let me tell you a little bit about the car, the testing procedures, then we'll head out, hit the highway in sort of the worst case condition with massive side winds, and see what this thing can do in terms of fuel economy. The best part about the Golf R, in my opinion, is it looks just like a normal Golf to the untrained eye. Of course, you can see R badges and these 19-inch wheels with big brakes behind them. But you know, this is sort of, in my eyes, one of the best daily driver hatchbacks you could have. It has all-wheel drive with a diff function, a rear drift function, thanks to the rear diff, made by Magna, the sponsor of today's video. So thanks to them for making this thing super fun. We have the EA 888 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. We have a 6-speed manual transmission in the middle that's geared really short, so 6th gear, like 80 miles an hour is just ticking over 3,000 RPM or so. And so what I'm really curious in, because you guys know I'm interested in actually purchasing one of these, is what can I expect in terms of fuel economy on the highway? So, tire pressure set at manufacturer rating. We're gonna warm up the engine, go up to Wellington, Colorado, then do the loop to Cheyenne and back. And we do have some crazy wind. The loop should counteract some of that, but a lot of it's a side wind. So in my eyes, this is a worst case scenario for our 70 mile per hour test of what we can expect MPG wise. The car's rated for about 23 MPG combined, about 20 in the city and about 28 on the highway by the EPA. I have no idea what to expect. Sometimes we go way past EPA, sometimes we fall way short with the wind. I'd be happy if we can at least match 28 MPG on the highway. Enough talking, let's go to the fueling pump and run this car in the test. And now let's fill it up to the tank full of premium fuel as required. We always put premium fuel in turbocharged cars, of course, so wide open on the handle. We'll then give it 30 seconds to rest and then squeeze again, and that's how we consider a full tank. When we come back, we'll then compare the pump results to the car's internal calculation. We're at the bottom of the wind, and you can see it's already picking up. I'm so bummed about this weather condition, but we gotta see what the Golf can do, especially as this is going to become sort of my daily road tripper type situation. We'll talk about that in a future video. Let's fill it up and see what kind of MPG we can expect. You join me back at the office with these incredible views to thank Magna. Now, Magna is a technology company that produces not only parts for cars, but also technological solutions from manufacturing and design and engineering. They cover so many parts of the automotive sector, and I bet you've interacted with a Magna product in your life before. Magna actually is very near and dear to my heart because their partnership, Magna Steyr in Austria, produced my first car, a Mini Countryman, and it was built right there in Graz. A lot of you are also familiar. Magna's going to be producing the Fisker Ocean in their Magna Steyr factory, and they also build G-Wagons, and nothing gets tougher than a G. So really excited about our partnership with Magna, of course. They are also hiring for engineers, so we know a lot of you guys are super interested in technology and automotive. I'll leave a link below so you can learn more about possible opportunities at Magna, but of course we want to thank them for sponsoring today's video and being such a huge supporter of Out of Spec. Truly, they are pushing mobility forwards responsibly and sustainably. Well, now you join me back in the Golf. It's currently off. Golf and off. Anyway, crazy windy out there. This is like a worst case scenario. And honestly, that's kind of intriguing to me. I've waited all week to do this test and just so bummed that we didn't get great weather to do this thing. Anyway, it looks like clouds are rolling in. We better hit the road. So let me show you how I'm going to set up the car. We got to reset everything and then we'll hit the road. So let's get the car on in accessory power. Oh, I just had it there. Okay, so it's currently off. We need to go here in terms of mode. It always starts in sport mode. So we want to go to comfort mode. We then want to go to driving data,
Since refuel. And can we reset that? No, I don't think we can. We got to go through. Goodness gracious. I don't want the heated steering wheel on. Seat heated steering wheel. This is a rough one for me. Come on, let's go over here. There we go. Trip, speed, time, acceleration, torque, performance, compass, destination, What the heck? Time, distance, there we go. Okay, so that's not honestly what we want either. Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. Since start, push and hold to reset. There we go. Now we're all reset. Long term, push and hold to reset, just so we have both. Boom, we're reset. We have the mode in comfort mode. We got to turn heated seats off just per the testing procedures. Chilly, 45, crazy windy, kind of a worst case. Everything's up to temperature. Whoops, didn't mean to hit that. If I hold this right button here, I can actually show us operating temps, and you'll see everything's at about 200 degrees where it should be. So let me just get buckled up. Woo! And we're going to do this thing. Parking brake off, start button, into first gear, off we go instantly, as always. And you can just roll off the clutch in this thing, and it's so easy to drive. You know, it's just so nice. So my driving style, I think this is the first manual transmission we've ever run in the 70 mile an hour highway MPG test. And so my driving style is going to be for sort of max efficiency. You might see some revs because I think revs over boost would be a little bit more efficient. But of course, we just need to get up on the highway, go 70 miles an hour, coast down and clutch in right at the end. And just nicely, so easy to drive this car. Beautiful, beautiful interior. Yeah, I think this is probably the best for efficiency, is just to keep it out of boost at low RPM and cruise up like this. Anyway, our goal here is to hit 70 miles an hour at the end of the on-ramp. I've already confirmed that 70 miles an hour indicated is 71 miles an hour. So we actually have to set it to 69 miles an hour, carrying speed onto the on-ramp as we like to do. There we go, accelerating up. We need to hit 70 by the end, so maybe a little bit more juice here. I think we're going revs over boost. That's what most eco modes do anyway in turbo cars. There we go, a couple more miles an hour left to go. Car's geared really tall, 68, 69, locked in on travel assist, boom. And the car, it's one of the only manual transmission vehicles with lane centering, capacitive steering wheel, and adaptive cruise control. It even lets you switch gears in adaptive cruise control. Whenever you clutch in, it just cancels. As soon as you clutch out, it re-engages. It'll even let you rev match your downshifts without canceling, which is wonderful. So, seems like a super well-built car, beautiful day in terms of visually, but maybe not so much in terms of wind. Let's just keep it going and see what this thing does. Look at that, 70 miles an hour. Spinning almost 3,000 RPM. Take over steering, you just have to touch the wheel. It's capacitive. Pretty sweet. Let's do this thing. We are just cruising along, crossing over into Wyoming. We have about, I don't know, 40, 50 mile an hour crosswinds. It's just wild. I have to say, you can see a little bit of left angle on the wheel. And just to let off for a half a second to show you, travel assist is keeping us nice and straight, doing a great job of managing with this massive crosswind. It's actually really impressive, I have to say. Pretty quiet in here, although considering the wind, I had this on the highway going down to Denver recently, not on our loop, actually, right when we first got it dropped off by Volkswagen, and it was so quiet. This is like a great cruiser. Crank up the Harman Kardon sound system, which is good, but lacking bass, but still better than like what you can experience in an ID4 in the US. And really just falling in love with this car. It's so much fun to rip down a back road. The fuel economy test isn't the most exciting, but we just got to know what it does on the highway, because for a lot of people, a Volkswagen Golf R is a daily driver. And, you know, that's my idea too, is like, this needs to do everything, which means it needs to be really efficient, and it needs to go drifting around a racetrack in drift mode. And it needs to be looking good, stylish, premium, all the other stuff. And it's probably one of the best values for money at doing all of those things, especially as many people will only buy a car with a manual transmission. And well, the options are becoming more and more limited. And welcome to exit 7, our turnaround. I've just kicked it off cruise control. Absolutely wonderful drive on the way up here. We always get a little bit worse efficiency up this way because we gain some elevation. That's why we run a loop style test. This lady in the van with these crosswinds, this Alberta like RV van up here, I thought she was going to be riding on 2 wheels. I mean, it was pretty gnarly. There were some trucks that looked like they were about to topple over, and that is actually very common for this stretch of I-25. We hear about it, and we live, right over here, so we see trucks just tipped over on the side of the road from wind very often. So anyway, let's merge up on the highway, carrying speed through, and we're just going to gently get up. This is a little bit shorter on-ramp than before, but we got this guy here in front of us, so we're just going to get up. I think we'll do a 3rd to 5th. We'll get up to 70 miles an hour pretty soon. And we are just rounding the corner towards the end of our test. You can see the car's primarily front wheel drive, although if I put in some input, you'll see that rear torque vectoring diff kind of come into play there. The damper set in comfort mode are unbelievably comfortable, I have to say, like way softer than this car needs to be. Makes it a great road trip. We're just kicking it off 70 miles an hour right there. And so now we're taking our exit. We'll pull her down, head back over to the fueling station, fill it back up, and then compare the results in the car to the results on the pump, and then reference the EPA numbers as we always do, and let you know what you can expect in pretty hardcore windy conditions in terms of efficiency. So time for the results. According to let's start with the EPA numbers here really quick. I have them to reference. So let me show you. According here, you can see we get about 20 in the city and 28 on the highway for the manual transmission Golf, 23 average. On the highway at 70 miles an hour, typically is a harder case than EPA's test. So it's always interesting to see how cars do, especially in cold weather and the wind. With that said, we traveled 57.5 miles. According to the car, we averaged 28.6 MPG. According to the pump, we averaged 29.3 MPG. So you're right in that basically, let's just call it 29 MPG range, which is one better than EPA in a constant highway test and at pretty crazy conditions. I don't know any other way to say it. Cars were like leaning hard. So super interesting, really neat test, and so pleased actually with the efficiency on this car. There's no eco mode, just the comfort mode that we drove in. So see you on the next one. Just a quick one. Bye-bye.